Hey guys, I'm Matt Lighty, and this is the next update for my last Epoch Warlock. Currently level 91 and a half. This is like the beginning of day 3, basically, as far as play goes. And I just wanted to show where I'm at. So I just started Endgame content, which is Empowered Monoliths. That's the type of stuff you get to. That's level 100, and I'm doing Corruption level 125. Yeah, oh sorry, 156. That's my current corruption level, so that's the, we have the mobs do much more damage and have much more life and that sort of stuff. So yeah, the gear upgrades have been going well. My mana's at 300, regen 20. I could use a little bit more regen. I could probably use less flat mana. 1600 life, 2700 ward comfortably. 90 intelligence, so not quite at the 100 you want to get to for your blood shitting that you have ripped blood from exacted libation, but it's going good. The gear upgrades, I've targeted and begun to get 3 of the first key uniques for the build. So that is the ladle. This is my 5th ladle. The 5th one I've received had legendary potential, and I used that to put on crit multi. And then my helmet, bone climber, or climber barbute. This is the one that gives us all the ward for necrotic stuff. It took me, I think, 12 or 13 to get legendary potential. I put on int. I have 1 twisted heart. This is from the dragon boss in the dragon zone, which is where I'm at right now. I'm farming this to try to get 1 with legendary potential, 1 or 2. I've probably done about 12 kills to get 1 heart that didn't have legendary potential, but it's so strong, giving +2 spells to most of our stuff, that I used it anyway. The next thing I'll be focusing on is getting the gloves, the Lego gloves, or the epic whatever, unique ones for Mark on Death in the build guide. I'm working on that. But I'm looking to get my necrotic res higher. I'm only at 500. I'd like to be closer to 1,000 in the end. And just generically getting more regen, more int, and that sort of good stuff. There's a couple interesting things I've also received. I've got a couple idols, which are the ones we use, which are health idols. And I received 1 good small idol, which is armor health. I've received none of the grand ones, I guess, or the 3-slot ones. Haven't seen one of those yet. Aside from that, we're just working on rare gear. And let's just showcase what it looks like for me at level 91 in this type of zone, just so you get an idea. All right, so the playstyle of the build hasn't changed in the we're good. Hasn't changed in the slightest. We're just doing monoliths, and I just walk around tapping right-click for Chthonic fissure, which is triggering, our Chaos Bolt, and then our Rip Blood and our Bone Curse. That's the same thing we've been doing, and it's the same thing we'll be doing forever. You just have, insane levels of ward, which is very, very comfy feeling. A lot of dot damage, a lot of great damage. Mana really isn't too bad at the moment. With 320, it's okay. Everything dies on screen anyway. In 150 corruption, no problem. The dots do work. You just want to have more because it's comfier. Also, because I get extra levels from my relic heart, and you can get extra levels if you had chthonic levels on your chest. Feel free to invest those levels into things like reduce mana to help your mana problems. But even single target still, as you can see on the tankier mobs, they still die in 10-15 seconds, no problem. So this is it. I do a monolith. We leave when we're done, reset, and move on. We're focusing on oh, look, a ring. Focusing on, our idols and our exalted pieces. Fucking Weaver's shit ring. So blessings for us are a little annoying. There's a lot of blessings across the things you want to farm out. Been focusing on the dragon area. Although the necrotic res is nice, the ones you really want to get for me is all res. I don't know what it's called, but the all res blessing, we'd like that. It helps a lot alleviate some of the stress from our gear. And aside from that, you want things like mana is good. So working on the ward and on kill and then decay threshold is also nice. Pretty much killing exiles for more ladles, trying to get better ones, trying to get more helmets, and we use the keys in the sanctums to upgrade. Sweet Jesus, to upgrade, our helmets and our Lego potential items. So if you don't know what legendary potential is, what it looks like, there's the helmet that does not have any legendary potential. That one does. You see it says 1 legendary potential. You can have up to 4. 4's crazy. If we get 2, that's fantastic. It doesn't mean there's a better chance of eating an exalted mod. It just means that we get 2 mods, right? So if I had a legendary potential 1, for example, on, my helmet, there's just it's going to take one of those 4 mods. If it had the life potential 4, it just takes all 4 of them. So we want to keep saving items that could be good for legendary potential. So things like boots, for example, these boots, I would max the movement speed, max the vitality, and change maybe the CDR. And then if I were to make these Lego boots off of a unique, there's a good chance of hitting something useful. That's how we get things like multi or int. So that's the main thing we're working on, getting that all-res blessing, then moving on, getting a legendary potential on our heart, which is this is a rare drop, so unfortunately. But yeah, for the rare pieces and the exalted pieces, like this is my body armor. I have the sealed vitality, and it has great res. But the damage reflected is kind of a dead stat. The vitality is kind of whatever. What you can get, and it's so rare to probably pull it off, would be to get that +4 Chthonic fissure dot damage as one of your prefixes, and also have good suffixes. It would be insane to have that on, because that gives you a lot of, again, alleviates a lot of stress. I have 22s and stuff, right? So I could put more points into Fragile Crust to get that mana refund, to get that reduced mana cost. And you could do that same thing for over here for Cultist Fervor, the less mana. You could have, I don't think I have any, but you can get Bone Curse, I believe, on Relic plus level. So if you were to put that as your exalted modifier from legendary potential, that would be ideal. So looking for more hearts to do that. That's basically it. That's where we're at. I'm just going to keep doing the dragon boss. So what I do is I just get 850 stability, kill the dragon, kill Orbos. I have worked on the filter a little bit. I'll put in the description, I guess, a paste bin of the filter that you could just copy paste it in like raw form. So that'll be a more strict version. So if you're already into monoliths, then that's something maybe you want to look into, is grabbing that sort of filter. It's a little bit less annoying. For the normal filter I was using, the only real difference, I would say, that almost killed me, whatever the fuck that was. The only real difference, I would say, is that I removed rares and then highlighted specific additional rolls. That's like the gist of it. We're always, for this build, basically perpetually, we're doing Rune Prisons. There is not to, but to get a ladle that has LP3 would be amazing. 4 is like you're smoking crack if you think you're going to get one. So like, just for context, in a level 100 zone, 30% chance to have 1 legendary potential, and that's doubled by our rank reward 6. When you're in a, to get legendary potential 4, which is the godsend, it's 0.06% chance. Now, from my experience, it's about a 1 in, I don't even know, 1 in 30 to get a ladle off of an exile. So you're looking at a 0.06 off a 1 in 30. That's like the pipe dream, but that's also why we keep checking exalteds, because whenever if you hit an exalted, you'd like to keep it. That's it. So let's do a couple questions from the last video. If there's any that make sense, I can answer them to the best of my abilities. So here's a question that says they're confused about the amount of different damage types and which one's the best for scaling. The easiest way I would say to go about it is the overall damage we do the most of would be necrotic. Crit and bolty is really good for scaling. It scales a lot of stuff through our passives, but the priority would always be, assuming you have capped res and 100 int and enough mana to cast comfortably, you're looking at necrotic resistance, because necrotic resistance is not only scaling our resistances, but it's also scaling our damage. So necrotic resistance is the priority, intelligence, and then making sure we're res is capped and our mana is good. This guy was asking about the rune that makes normal items into epic items. So that is this rune of Ascendance right here. I don't have it at the moment, but yeah, it's just based off of base type. So a glove will become a glove, etc. I would recommend using it on helmets until you have, if you already have a Bone Climber bar boot, then you could use gloves if you don't have those. But the odds of getting legendary potential off of the Ascendancy runes seems quite poor. So I would typically use that to get, the base game drop. So the helm and the gloves are the main ones. If you don't have any, but aside from that, you could just use whatever one you don't have legendary potential on to fish for legendary potential, but the odds are very, very poor. People mentioning mana problems still. Yeah, so it's a perpetual thing. Again, you want at least 20 mana regen, and start to, if you really have issues, you could pick up the things like the mana efficacy nodes from, anything that we're casting, or hypothetically, you could also drop things like Eviscerate that increase your mana cost. You're going to lose damage, but if it's at the cost of being more comfortable, feel free. that's really all there is to it, is you could just pick that up. There's a real stopgap, like, shit move you could do, which is put on the full Isidore set. So this is the Isidore set piece. The full one has 30% mana efficiency with necrotic spells. That'll massively help your mana, but this is like, you really shouldn't be doing this because you're going to be dropping, like, a lot of the stuff is kind of dead stats on it and not really super relevant. So that's the hyper stopgap, but I wouldn't even recommend that. I would simply just invest more into regen, try to focus on getting regen over everything. As long as you're casting spells, it should be better. What skills did I use for leveling? It's a good question. All I did for leveling was basically just Rip Blood and Bone Curse until level 20. Level 20, you could pick up Chthonic Fissure and you could just use that. I kind of just used Rip Blood and Bone Curse until like 35. That's when you could get your 4th unlock slot for specialization. Then you could start picking up the triggering things, you know. But again, I really would recommend prioritizing mana efficiency, because especially in the beginning, if you can't cast, it's like, who cares how much damage you have? You still have to be able to cast, and you still have to be res capped, you still have to be able to survive. So dead men don't do damage, you know. Prioritize being able to cast and stay alive. Hopefully this helps at all. If you have any questions still, feel free to ask them. I'll post another update video as I, probably in a day or two, whenever I have everything done, like all my blessings, all my gear done. As far as the base gear, you're perpetually hunting legendary potential 3 and 4, even 2 on some items, like getting LP2 on the heart is not easy, and even then you could rip off the 2 wrong mods and it could just be basically the same, but shit. So that's just part of it. The filter definitely helps in looking for things, you know, of note, but TLDR, it's a grind, it's an ARPG, you can't get around that, but the build is incredibly comfy, and you should be able to get to level 100 and do stuff like I'm doing, corruption level 150, level 100 areas, pretty easily while just walking around, basically tapping right click. So that's it, that's the update. I'll catch you guys later. I'll be in stream all the time until this build is done, until I'm done with the game, basically. So feel free to come hang out or ask me questions. I'm Mathew Lighty, and have a good day. Bye-bye.